Good evening and welcome to tonight's show. I am your host Tina Dawson, the owner of True Blue Designs, and I thank you so much for tuning in. Tonight's guest was one of our first guests when we started the show last year, and it's been a year. And he was on the show to discuss his first book titled Family Scars, and we had a great discussion about that book. Well, recently he has authored another book, a new book, and it's entitled How to Climb the Mountain of Financial Aid. Now, one thing that all of us have in common is two things. One is we all know someone who has a child that is a senior in high school or junior in high school, and they are preparing to go to college. Or we know someone who's older that's deciding to continue their education and they need to know about financial aid. So both of those two people that we both know, maybe different people, but they're both in the same situation. We all know someone that needs to know how to climb the mountain of financial aid. And those of us who either have been through it or have children in college or going to college, it can be very intimidating, time consuming, and intimidating. So tonight's guest is here to discuss his new book and tell us the inside scoop on how to conquer this mountain. Help me give a warm welcome to tonight's guest, Mr. Trae Johnson. Hey, Trae.
Hey, Tina, how you doing today?
Doing good. Thank you so much for coming back. I couldn't believe it. We're celebrating a year we've been on the air. Isn't that
1 year.
something?
It's a blessing. Yes, it's truly a blessing. And again, thank you for allowing me to be on your show. Thank you. Just you doing a phenomenal job. I watch your
Thank you.
show, and I'm just wondering when Tyler Perry or Oprah gonna pick you up. I'm just wondering because you're gonna be big time, and us little people, and you blowing up. I mean, you're doing a phenomenal job. Thank you. Many blessings to
Thank
you
you.
and your family and everybody.
Thank you. Well, when one goes up, we all go up, right?
Yes, ma'am.
That's the way it's supposed to be. So
Supposed
yeah,
to, yeah.
yeah. No, I really thank you for your support. When I first told you my idea about the show, you were so encouraging, and periodically you will call and check on me and give me a little nudge sometimes for me to
Yeah.
get it together. So I really appreciate it. Even when we started the business of True Blue Designs, you were right there in the trenches with me in the beginning. So, we are connected at the hip. And let me tell you, the book Family Scars kind of really just shocked me because, we all know people in different, people have different dimensions about themselves, right?
Mm-hmm.
And I only knew that one, I only knew you in one dimension, right?
Mm-hmm.
And Family Scars allowed me to see that, some other dimensions. And when we interviewed you, you told us a lot about yourself, and I'm going to have you to introduce yourself again.
Okay.
But so when you put out the second book, you knew I was right there. I was right there to get this book. With
Mm-hmm.
me graduating from college in 2013, and now I have a daughter in college. The information is needed, right? And
Yes.
I totally agreed with a lot or all of the information in the book. A lot of it I didn't know, and we're going to get to that during the interview. And you enlightened me through this book about some things. So I am excited. And the other reason why I wanted to have you on, Trae, is because we are in the month of December. We're in the month of gift giving. And this book, How to Climb the Mountain of Financial Aid, would be an awesome gift for juniors, seniors, get about to graduate in May,
Mm-hmm.
people who are looking to continue their journey in college. This
Mm-hmm.
book is a good roadmap and a good tool and a good guide
Exactly.
for them. And so it answers a lot of questions that I had that I wish I would have known. And some of these questions I paid big money to find out the answer. So I wish I
Mm-hmm.
would have thought about you earlier. So so it's needed. And so I want people to understand that, gift giving, let's give some books. Let's get people to read more, and let's give this as a good gift, right? And it's not that many pages. See, it's not thick at all.
Mm-hmm.
So, good book. Okay, so we're gonna start off by letting you tell the audience a little bit about yourself.
Okay, sure. Well, I'm author Trae Johnson, originally from a small city called Harlem, Georgia, outside of Augusta, Georgia. I'm a married man. Shouts out to my wife Latoya. Got to give props to the wife.
Yes,
The
yes,
spouse.
yes, yes. Hi,
Yeah,
Latoya.
Latoya. So give a props to her. Um, this is my second book, but my first nonfiction book, How to Climb the Mountains of Financial Aid. Currently, that is my career. I work at a university in the financial aid office. Overall, I have 10 years of financial aid and college life experience.
Mm-hmm.
So I just decided to take my knowledge and put it in a book that's easy to read. You're
Mm-hmm.
not going to be intimidated by, the thickness of the page,
Right.
but it's something that you can read, and it's like a blueprint and a
Mm-hmm.
roadmap for you in regard to what should you do in college, what should you say, what should you do, and so forth. So just I'm really excited about this book. There's a major market for this book, and especially the information I have to help them succeed.
Right, right. Yeah. And we want to reiterate what you said. Now, tell them what you do for a living currently.
I work in financial aid at, I'm not gonna say the school name,
Right, that's fine.
but I work in financial aid at a university system, which at my current role, I've been here almost 8 years, but
Mm-hmm.
overall, I was at another school, and overall, I have 10 years of financial aid experience. So some of the
Okay.
stuff that I'm saying, um, well, most of the stuff, 99.99%, a lot, I'm living the stuff I'm telling you about. I've seen some things and stories I can say that I might not can say here on
Right.
live, you know. But yeah, I've got some information for you about college.
Yeah, so I wanted to reiterate that this is not, you didn't write a book about something that you heard, right? You wrote a book about something that you know because you're currently working in that industry,
Hmm.
right? So
Yes,
that legitimizes what we're about to talk about, right? And it
yes, ma'am.
legitimizes your knowledge on the topic, right?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, so let's talk about what inspired you to write the
Okay.
second book.
Well, what inspired me a couple years ago, within financial aid, especially different times of the year, I get the same questions over and over again, and I'm like, okay, and I'm just like, why can't they just read a book or something? I mean, it's just the same questions. And so one day, this lady, she came to my office and she was frustrated. She was a professor at the university. She had one of her students with her, and you know, I told her to come in my office, and long story short, I broke down to her what's the issue with the student. And so
Mm-hmm.
she was relieved, and she relieved because she was frustrated of financial aid. She didn't really understand it, and it seemed like
Hmm.
everything changes. And
Right.
so I saw her a couple of days, and a couple of days after that, and me and her start talking and stuff, and she was just like, "Oh my God, Trey, this, that, whatever." And so I told her like, "Hey, I just might as well write a book about it." And she was
Yeah.
like, "Why not?" So
Yeah.
a couple of days passed, and I was just kind of writing notes, and I kind of told her like, "Hey, I want to be professional, but I want to be me, you
Right.
know." And as she told me, she's a Caucasian lady, and which I'm kind of shocked she said this. She pretty much said like, "We want you to be professional, but we need a little Kendrick Lamar too now." And I'm just thinking like, she knows about Kendrick Lamar, but okay. But she probably got students and so forth. So
Mhm.
that right there kind of lit the fire for me to go ahead and write this book. Already interested in writing, but throughout the years, it's needed because especially first generation college students. I had parents who would come up to me like, why things have to change? This didn't happen to me when I was in school. And
Mhm.
then I had to let them know that, 20, 30 years ago, there was like Blockbuster Video, Blockbuster Music, Turtles Music. Now it's Netflix and chill. So
Mhm.
things change in time.
Yeah.
So you can't say what happened in 1993 going to happen the same in 2021.
Yeah.
Things evolve, things change. Like
Mhm.
in high school, we had the card catalog.
Right.
Now we have online.
Mhm.
So it just you have to just got to understand stuff. Even with FAFSA, financial aid, I mean the PIN numbers. Now it's the FACID that we have to do now. So that putting all that in the book and just trying to make something simple and easy for students to read the book. And so far that everyone that read the book was kind of like, wow, I wish somebody had told me this when I was in school. Like you make it easy and simple, like that's the goal.
Yeah. Yeah. And it really can be intimidating when you don't know. It really can. Before we go any further, I just want to let everybody know that we're streaming simultaneously on True Blue Designs Facebook page and on our YouTube channel. So feel free to like, share, let everybody know that we're on the air, and let them know that we are here to talk about financial aid 101. And I want to encourage people to subscribe to our YouTube channel, so that you can get updates on the upcoming guests we're going to have on our show. So please feel free to like and share. Um, you mentioned there were some common questions. Now we're not going to expound on what I'm about to ask you, but I just wanted you to touch on a little bit because we're going to expound on it later.
Sure.
So can you give us just a couple of common questions that you're asked over and over again when students or parents come to your office? Give us some
Sure.
examples of those.
Sure. I think the number one answer is when can I get my refund? That's normally the number one question.
Uh-huh.
And then they'll ask, um, how can I apply for financial aid?
Hmm.
Which year should I apply for?
Right.
Because there's an award year, which is confusing.
Hmm.
Which award year should they apply for? Um, do we have MARTA passes or passes that for transportation? You
Okay.
know, uh, what would be how many classes should I take? Or will financial aid pay for these classes? Do I
Okay.
have financial aid?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So some of the questions that may seem so basic, but I'm sure you are amazed that the basic questions, a lot of people just don't know. And they don't, I'm sure there's a lot of resources out there, but sometimes as parents, we just don't know where to go to get the resources, right?
Exactly,
Yeah.
exactly. There's a lot of resources, but a lot of things that we just don't know, and it's you
Mhm.
can't fault somebody that don't know what's going on.
Right.
Especially, I work with a lot of students whose parents are not from this country, and
Oh,
so
okay.
for them, it's like this is a brand new world. Like this person literally is a first generation college student that's seeking my advice on what some of the steps should they do, how should they do it. I mean, again, they're no idea. They just graduate from high school and they
Mhm.
know they need to go to college because again, they want their child to get an education and
Right.
to do better than they did.
Mhm. Okay. Yeah, you're right. So you deal with all types of people in financial aid, really. From the
Exactly.
parent to the student to the teachers to the academic advisors. I'm sure you help everybody.
Yeah, because
Um,
I tell people all the time with financial aid, we're like the heart and soul. I
yeah.
mean, there may be workshops about the SATs, careers, or so forth, but we're the heart and soul.
Yeah.
One thing that I extremely say often in this book that college is a business.
Okay. Now that was my first thing I was going to let you expound on. So let's talk about that because that's in the beginning of the book. So you do make that statement over and over again. So let's expound on it. College is a business.
Yes, and again, college is a business, meaning that if you want to go to school, you have to pay.
Mm-hmm.
It could be scholarships, grants, or so forth. So many times students want to apply for a school, which is great, but do you have the financial resources to take care of it? Too
Mm-hmm.
often, I have students who come in my office and say, "Well, I want to go do this and that," And I'm like, okay, how you gonna pay for it? I don't know. Okay, are you gonna get loans? Okay, do I gotta pay loans back? And you would think like they know you had to
Mhm.
pay loans back, but uh, I would say this, make my personal opinion: 85% of students don't realize they do have to pay loan backs. Some of them, of course,
Really?
want to play around with it because they want to be slick and whatever. But many of them didn't realize you had to pay loans or the steps to get loans. And so when it comes
Wow.
to college, they don't have no idea for funding. And like they want a scholarship, but they don't have the GPA. And a lot of times, especially with this book, I encourage people to read this or read the book or start, in the freshman year in high school and plan financially for college. Because again, you don't want to wait to the last minute and say that you want to go to this university, but the tuition is like $20,000 a year, and you don't have that money.
Right. Right. And I'm telling you, it makes a difference. You got to figure out, because one of the things you talked about in the book is not only figuring out how you're going to pay for it, you talked about you got to figure out, is college even for you? You know.
Exactly.
So let's expound on that, because you talk in depth about um making a decision for yourself versus letting someone else make the decision for you. So let's talk about that.
Sure. And I actually had this happen to me about 2 weeks ago. I'll have students who come to my office and they hate school. They're not doing well. It's not where they want to go. The only reason they're in school because of mom and dad, or they don't really want to work, or they truly don't have no idea what they want to do for themselves. And so for
Mm-hmm.
me, I had to let them know that again, college is a business. And so you're failing your classes, you kind of hurting your eligibility to receive financial aid. And for some, the student maybe like say 19 may not see this now, but in the future they'll realize when they want to go back to school, the things that they did in the past can affect them now.
Right.
And so I asked them, I know it's not a popular question as far as working in a university, but I have to let them know that, do you really want to go to college? What do you want to do
Mm,
for yourself? I mean, these are some of the questions that they should have an idea, or maybe their parents or guidance counselors or whoever in their circle should have discussed with them in regards to what they want to do. And a lot of times too, you taking up your time, your money, and your energy. And again, your eligibility
mhm.
for financial aid for just being somewhere that you don't want to be, and then you fail in it, and then all of a
Right.
sudden academically you're out, and then with financial aid, because there's two separate departments, financial
Right.
aid, you'd be ineligible to receive it if you have two semesters that you're not meeting satisfactory academic progress.
Right. Yeah. You've got to figure that out before you sign on that dotted line for financial aid.
Especially
Right.
you have loans.
Yes. Yes. Yeah. Yeah. Because whether you start and don't finish or start and finish, you still owe it.
Yes,
You take out a
yes,
loan.
yes, yes. Uncle Sam definitely want his money.
Yes. 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 Okay. So what we're going to do is I'm going to make a statement. I'm gonna state a sentence that's in your book, and I'm going to allow you to expound on it.
Sure,
Okay. All
sure.
right. So one statement that you make in your book is, and I really thought this one was important. Don't let someone discourage you from getting your education.
Okay, cool. I definitely remember this one.
Yeah, it's
And
a good
and
one.
and this, I say like this: there's a special section in the book for women,
Yes.
and I say this because too many times that you want something, you want an education, and you don't have the support that you want. And I
Mm-hmm.
let people know that if you have a goal and a dream, go ahead and pursue it.
Right.
Get your education, especially if you can afford it. Like if you at a
Mm-hmm.
community college, most likely, your Pell can cover your tuition.
Mm-hmm.
So you have the opportunity, go for it. Don't let
Yeah.
nobody discourage you. Don't allow somebody else's insecurities affect you.
Right. Yeah. Yeah, there's a good section. Whole, I think it's a chapter, right? I think it's a
Just
whole
a
chapter in the
section,
book.
yeah.
Yeah,
Well, a
yeah,
chapter as far as I give my advice, yeah.
yeah. Yeah, that it was good. It hit on, and I'm sure you see that a lot. I'm sure you get, um, what you discussed in that chapter in the book. I'm sure that you actually talk to a lot of women about that.
I,
Um, yeah,
Tina, I promise you, and it's not a black thing, a white thing. I've spoken with Asians. I've spoken to different other cultures about this, and it
right,
was just like, wow, like so many people don't want you to get an education, a
right,
college degree. Like it just amazed me. And sometimes that you hear something, it's one thing, but to actually see it and see the person expression, like
yeah,
if you make an A in your class, I shouldn't be the first person you want to run to tell how well you do in class. It should be
right,
your support system. But
right.
unfortunately, some people don't have that, and a lot of times with college is students' sanctuary, like their safe
Hmm.
place.
Hmm. Yeah, and it's real sad, that the people who tend to, try to discourage you from succeeding or being better are the ones that's in your inner circle, right?
That's true.
So you give some advice, right, about, reevaluating that circle, right,
Exactly.
to be able to fulfill your dreams. Yeah, good chapter. You got to buy the book. We're not going to tell you got to buy the book. Okay. So the next statement is, a good education is vital to functioning in society.
Yes. And with this, it's twofold. One, an education far as in college. You can't beat that. Take
Hmm.
advantage of your situation far as your experience, your knowledge, and everything. Like you
Hmm.
can come from a small town, go to a university, and there are things that you didn't know that will open up your mind. But then I also want people to know that even if you may not go to college, the education that you have, far as your work, your job, even the military, things that can help you and help develop you, far as your business or whatever goals you have, get that education. Because again, once you have the knowledge, you have the power.
Yep, that's true. Knowledge is power. And I
Yeah,
and I said when I first started the show, I don't know if you remember, I used to always say, knowledge is power, but applied knowledge brings transformation. And
preach.
I had to add that on because I know a lot of people who they get the knowledge, but if you don't use it to help others or better yourself, there is no transformation for you or others, right?
That's
So
true.
when you get the knowledge, you got to apply it,
Exactly. I
right?
mean, what the problem is getting it if you don't
Yep.
use it? That's selfish.
But I'm
Or
sure you see that too, though. I'm
I
sure
do.
you. Yeah. Okay.
I
I'm
do.
sure you see that too. Okay. Let's take another statement from the book.
Okay.
Um, this is a good one. Don't overwhelm yourself with too many classes.
Yes. A lot of times, students and their parents will budge them, or maybe somebody else in their circle. They're always in a hurry to
Mhm.
graduate, which I'm like, okay, and you don't want to take too many classes because this is college. This ain't high school.
Mhm.
So everything that you take affects your money. So
Right.
you don't want to take so many classes that um can affect you, because you got to think about it. You take, let's say, 16 credit hours. That maybe like depends, maybe like 5 classes or six
Okay.
classes. This varies, and you got your personal life. You got
Mhm.
your job. Do you think you have like your family, other activities, things that you're a part of, and if something happened, your schoolwork's going to suffer. And
Okay.
plus, too, some people can't handle a big load. So you have to understand what is comfortable for you while you go to
Mhm.
school, and you have to understand that you got things going on. If you if you're mean for school or your livelihood, then you have to understand what you can control and what you're comfortable for. Don't allow someone to tell you need to take all these classes so you can graduate 4 years or 3 years. And
Right.
and even though it may take you 4 years or 5 years, it's not all it's not always a race. You know,
Mm-hmm.
the education still gonna be there, but you still got other things that you got to handle in your personal life. And if
Right.
your personal life is going with issues, then your school life is going to be suffering. And again, college is a business, which is
Right.
going to affect your money. So,
Mm-hmm. Now, when making the decision of how many classes to take, how important is fostering a relationship with your academic advisor? How important is that relationship when concerning deciding how many classes to take and balancing that?
oh, it's extremely important because with most colleges, they have like certain classes at certain times for
Mm-hmm.
students to take. So
Mm-hmm.
they're pretty much plan out your 4 years.
Okay.
And so if you come in the spring, there may be a class that's only available in the spring that you might have to take, or if you want to take a class in the summertime,
Mm-hmm.
there may be a class or a class that's only taken in the fall. And
Mm-hmm.
plus, if you transfer to a school, then you need to talk to your academic advisor just to see if these classes can transfer. So it's
Okay.
definitely important to kind of see where you at as far as your classes transfer, and your direction of where you want to go, finish school. Because again, it's like
Okay.
a roadmap to where you want to finish, how soon you want to finish, and so forth.
Okay. So fostering that relationship with your academic advisor is very important, and especially when considering your roadmap. Like you said, they already have your classes planned out from you from the first day you walk on campus to the last day before you graduate, right? But
Yes.
that relationship with your academic advisor can help you um, kind of um, weigh what you should take, what you shouldn't take, and kind of help you not get overwhelmed with that decision. Am I right in saying that?
Yeah. And again, you got somebody who actually know and understand what's going on. So you
Right.
definitely want somebody who can help you. Again,
Right.
we want to see students succeed. And so a lot of times you don't have to be by yourself. There's someone there to help you and guide you as far as the process.
Right. Okay. So another topic, another section in the book. Okay. Oh, this was a good one. It's important for you to do research on the schools you're interested in. Let's talk a little bit about that.
Exactly. So there's certain schools are meant for certain people and so forth. So if I want to be an engineer, I might want to go to Georgia Tech because that's their specialty.
Right.
And then if I want to be a teacher, and my if I research my salary and salary for being a teacher, and let's say the salary is $40,000.
Mm-hmm.
However, you go to a school and your your overall loans or your debt is 100,000. That may not be a good fit for you, a good school, because again, you already graduating with major debt. You
Right.
might want to consider looking at maybe a community college or junior college first, and
Mm-hmm.
then explore another college that you may be able to finish your next 2 or 3 years afterwards.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
So what if I'm a parent and I went to Alabama and I am absolutely roll tide? You know why I'm using the analogy.
mhm.
But I'm the child and roll tide is just not a fit for me, right? How can the student how can um what would you advise? How would you advise the student to have a conversation with their parent
Well,
concerning that?
when I had talked to a student before, and I kind of told them like, "What is your plan? You know, like what do you want to do?" And so she would tell me that she want to do hair. And I'm
Okay.
like, okay, so you want to do hair? That means you need to get a license. So
Right.
just explain to your parent that a 4 year university may not be the best fit for me. I'm not
Mm-hmm.
happy. I want to do this, that. For a lot of parents, I guess. I mean, I'm not a parent yet, and I'm hopefully one day I'll be blessed to be one.
Uh-huh.
But just talk with parents at the job. A lot of them wouldn't mind, but you have to kind of explain to them step by step what are the things you're going to do. And if you do choose this career, are you gonna get paid? Because
Right.
you can't live with mom and dad forever. You gotta
Right.
have insurance, you gotta pay bills, and if you want a family, how are you gonna support them? So you
Mm-hmm.
just gotta kind of give them the breakdown of what you're trying to do. If you kind of say that, hey, I don't know what I want to do, I don't want to go to college, then you leaving a lot of questions because what are you trying to do? You mom and dad can't take care of you forever.
Right. Right. Yeah. And I think it's just sometimes, and I know this is not for everybody what I'm about to say, but sometimes it's just as easy as having a conversation,
Hmm.
right? Because sometimes we don't want, sometimes kids don't want to let us down because we didn't pick what they wanted for us.
Hmm.
Um, but then on the flip side, we as parents have to allow the child to have an opinion and have a voice in their decision going to school, because at the end of the day it's not our experience at the school, is theirs, right?
Exactly.
And we were talking off before we got on the show, and you were saying that things have just changed,
Yeah.
and the way we remember school is not the way school is now. It is not.
Exactly.
And
Exactly.
we just got to get with the times.
Exactly. Things change. Technology, life.
Mhm.
You know how you. I mean, every single thing changed. I mean, I remember when I first started college, and I'm walking on my campus, and somebody asked me, "You want a free sandwich?" I'm like, "Sure," but you got to sign up for a credit card.
Right.
Or if you do one thing, you got to do something else, and just so many things change when we was in college that now it will never fly in
Right.
2021.
Right.
So we just got to be cautious, and like I said, just be considerate, and like I said, just talk to your parents and just let them
Hmm.
know as far as your plan and your goals and stuff, and do something that's real. Like if
Yeah.
you want to own a business, okay, uh where you what you want, where you're going to start, where you're going to learn, so just give them
Right.
some kind of goals or something that you're trying to do for yourself.
Yeah. Yeah. I've heard several stories of parents just really, really pushing for their children to go to certain schools,
Yes.
and the child applied, and the child didn't get in, and the the parent was more disappointed than the student. The student was more relieved that they
Yes.
didn't get in. And
Yes.
so one of the stories I know of is that the parent had already said, "Okay, you didn't get in, but this is how we're going to get you in." And so the parent still did the roadmap for them to go here, so eventually they can get here. And that
Exactly.
child does not want to go to that school. But the
Exactly.
parent told her, "I'm not paying. If you don't go, I'm not paying. If you don't listen to me, I'm not paying." And
Yes.
sometimes, I think of that as putting our child in bondage, right?
Yes.
So
Yes.
let's speak a little bit to that, Trey, because I
Sure.
know from what you do in your position, I know you see a lot of that. You see a lot of where the parent is trying to still take the lead for the child. And me, when me and you were talking, I was saying, we got to get them off the breast milk.
Yes.
We've
Yes.
got to. You know what? Let's talk about this, because
Mm-hmm.
there's something in the book that you say about the analogy of the bird, the baby bird.
Yes.
So let's talk a little bit about the analogy that you put in your book about the baby bird. Let's talk a little bit about that. Then I'm gonna ask my next question.
Sure. So in the book, I pretty much said that for birds, that mama bird will push the baby bird out the nest, not
Hmm.
because she tired of her, but she have to understand that the baby has to grow up. The baby has to learn to fly. The baby has to learn to survive for himself. Too
Hmm.
often, parents is still holding their child's hands after high school. And unfortunately, I've seen it from age 18 to 25, 28. They holding their child's hand.
Hmm.
And the parents, they're the ones that um, did the application for the school. They did the FAFSA. Um, Anything school related, the parent was there. The child wasn't there, but the parent was there. And it's like they'll come to my office, and I'm like, "Where's your child?" "Oh, they're at home sleep." Okay,
Wow.
while they sleep, should they be here at the school? And so too many times, like, and again, I'm not a parent, but
Right.
but I've seen this so many times to the point that I had to tell parents that, you got to let your child learn and understand college life. You can't keep holding his hand because eventually, you suffering him because he's not
Mm-hmm.
learning. He or she is not learning of what's going
Mm-hmm.
on.
Mm-hmm.
And sometimes the best thing for you to do is let them go through it. Be there for them and support them, but don't be trying to hover in them or do all their work.
Right.
I mean, there are even times that I know one of our fraternity brothers, Corey Staten, Dr. Corey Staten, had told me times that he had students that pretty much mom and dad call every day, like want to know what's going on, what's happening, and if things ain't right, mom and dad be calling, like like they're best friends and trying to figure out what's happening. And he's like, this is the students' business. This is the
Right.
students' work. And so yeah,
Right.
we had too many times that. So educate your child, parents. Teach them about school and so forth. And they might fall, which you don't want to see them fall. But sometimes when they fall, that's when you learn some of your best life lessons.
Yeah, life is the best teacher. Faye made a comment. She said, "You're setting them up for failure
Oh
when
yeah,
you don't teach them."
look,
And
more than failure,
yeah,
I mean, and also too, I should say, even girlfriends don't be holding your man's hand. Which I actually had
are you serious?
I wish I had the Bible. Put my hand on it right now, Tina. I actually had a
Wow.
student came in the office with his girlfriend, and I'm telling him what he needs to do, and he just pretty much told me like, I just let her do it. She loved taking care of me. I'm
Yep.
like, okay,
Yeah. Look, Faye said again, the best learned lesson is a self-taught lesson. Yeah,
exactly.
life is the best teacher. Um, we were talking about, college is a child's first step in their independence, right? I
Yes.
think that's the first step. That's their first major step from out of the home with the parent to being able to do things on their own, right? Before they
Hmm.
really get on their own, right?
Yes. Yes.
And I think that step is so crucial. Everyone that I talk to about college, I tell them, don't go to college at home. Now some people have to go to a 2 year and they stay at home, and that's fine.
Yes.
But
That's
then,
fine.
try to gradually get your independence, because a lot of people that are going to the 2 years, the ones that I know of, they get jobs, right? So I
Hmm.
try to, encourage the students to, slowly but surely try to get your independence. You may want to pick up a small bill or two at the parents' house so that you understand how to pay bills and stuff like that, and
Hmm.
start doing things on your own. Start paying your own cell phone bill.
Hmm.
There's little things that we can do as parents to teach our children independence instead of just throwing them out there. So
Exactly.
it's very key. I keep saying, you gotta get them off the breast milk. Um,
Exactly. Exactly.
we got to. Yeah,
I know me and one of my best friends, Eric Smith, we had this conversation often, and I know he had a son that just graduated 2 years ago. And one of the things that we both say is that we don't understand that how can a parent just kick their child out the house and then the child's not prepared.
right. Yeah,
And so as a parent, it's your responsibility to prepare the child for the future. Not hold
right,
his hand or baby him. Don't give no carnation or breast milk, buttermilk, goat milk, any type of milk, or 2% milk, but to help them out as far as developing them, till they get older. Because again, working with your child is an investment to the future. So when you get old age senior citizens, they know and understand how to take care of themselves and to help take care of you.
right. So you mentioned earlier that a parent will come to your office and they want to talk to you about their child's account, but they can't because of something called FERPA.
Yes,
Let's talk about FERPA.
yes. FERPA is the equivalent of HIPAA in the medical field, and so we cannot talk to nobody without the child's or the student's permission.
Okay.
And I would have parents to come to my office and want to talk about their accounts. And when I look in the records, there's no FERPA form. There's no
Now
permission.
what does FERPA stand for? It's really an acronym, but what does FERPA stand for?
Okay, FERPA stands for Family Educational. Now,
Right, rights and
rights,
privacy.
rights and privacy, rights and privacy. Yeah, look, I had a quick blind
Yeah,
moment then, but yeah,
yeah, the Family Educational Rights and Privacy Act. So go ahead.
yes. And so we have parents that sit in my office and want to know what's going on with their child. I don't see no type of FERPA form on this account. So I'm like, what's really going on? What's happening? Um, I can't tell you nothing. I
Right.
don't see no information that I can express to you. They get mad. Some wanna cuss. Some don't understand because they say I pay my child's bill.
Mm-hmm.
I had to let them know that there's policies and procedures
Mm-hmm.
and in laws. This is a law that
Mm-hmm.
I cannot talk to you about your child's account.
And it's
And
a federal law or state?
it's federal.
Federal law.
A
Okay.
federal law. Because again,
Mm-hmm.
if the child finds out that we told their parents or anybody
Mm-hmm.
about their account, they have the right to try to sue
Mm-hmm.
or take action. And
Right.
yes, like Brittany says, it's the
Mm-hmm.
law. So
Yeah.
it is a law.
Yeah.
And so we don't want to get bent out of shape. And I'm sorry, but I can't come home and tell my wife that I lost my job because I didn't follow the direction of FERPA. That
So
would be hard to do.
so FERPA is a form that a child must fill out
Yes.
if they want to allow their parent, guardian, or whomever,
Anybody, yes.
anybody, to speak, to be able to find out information about their college information. Am I right? Did I say it right?
Exactly. No,
Okay.
no, you said no, you said it correctly. I
Okay.
mean, a lot of times with colleges, I mean, you can do it online or a
Mm-hmm.
lot of places where you do face to face, whoever the third person is, they want to see their license and identification so they
Oh
can put
wow.
everything in the system.
Okay.
And so they can make sure like this is the right person they give I can talk to. I can talk to mama. I can talk to daddy or
Mm-hmm.
auntie. I have permission to do that because you allow me that.
Mm-hmm.
And then sometimes, look, you got to stay on some of these students because you let them know, like, hey, you need to do the FERPA. And then, the child might be like, yeah, okay, I would do it. And then when things happen at the school and when mama or dad need to talk to somebody, the child forgot to go ahead and set up the FERPA account. And now all of a sudden, you got to wait to then get processed for
Right.
you to actually talk to them. Unless all of you decide to come on campus at the same time. But for
Mm-hmm.
many, you know, out of town, out of state,
Yeah.
or
They
right
can't
now
do
we're
that.
doing virtual appointments. So
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So even if you do a virtual appointment, they cannot talk to you if the FERPA form is not on that child's account, right?
exactly,
They cannot talk to you. So don't even try.
exactly. We're not losing our jobs because of that, nah. And
Oh,
which I let them know about HIPAA because of course many people for some reason get confused with FERPA. But when I say HIPAA, which is the law as far as
yeah.
medical, then they'll
Hmm.
kind of understand where I'm coming from.
Now, this is a good question. Damari asks, what will happen if the student passes and the parents are not on the FERPA form? If the student passes away and the parent is not on the FERPA form?
Mm. Well, I never experienced nothing like that before, but I can only suggest that they have proof where they talk to like the dean or academics on that situation.
Uh-huh.
Then they may be some, I guess, wiggle room. A lot of stuff when it comes to the FERPA, the school has somewhat some policies. For
Mm-hmm.
example, that if there's something with the student's conduct, then in the school it may only have this group of people that can actually look over this file compared
Okay.
to the whole school. So it just depends on what regulation that the school have for certain departments of stuff like behavior, conduct, and so forth.
Okay.
Which I can only assume if it's somebody that passed away, and if they have the proof of what's going on, then the school can kind of make some type of recommendations or some stuff that go on.
Okay. Um, you in your book you talk about three main reasons why students lose their financial aid. Let's briefly discuss that.
Okay, well, the one of the heart and soul of financial aid is satisfactory academic progress. Pretty
Mhm.
much that's how you be eligible for financial aid, which of course you have your maximum time frame is just the amount of time you've been in school. In school, you have your pace is just the average as far as your grades, the actual
Mhm.
average. The
Okay.
average as far as your classes that you've taken is 66.66%. That's what you have to have at least minimum of to keep your awards and your GPA. I
Okay.
mean, if you have, let's say, for example, if you've taken, if you taken, let's say, 20 credit hours,
Mhm.
and if you taking between 1 to 30 credit hours, and your expected GPA is a 2.5, and if you got a 2.6, then you're passing.
Okay.
You're passing SAP. So there's a certain line that you have to be passing to maintain your GPA.
Mhm.
And if you fall short for each one of them, then you can be put in a warning status. Which you're in a warning status, you can still be eligible for financial aid, but it's like baseball. You have two strikes, and one more, you can lose your financial aid, and then we'll have to do an appeal, a SAP appeal, we call it.
Okay. Okay. So list out the three ways again. It was grades,
Mm-hmm.
GPA,
It's,
grades.
it's GPA,
Mm-hmm.
maximum time frame, and
Okay.
pace.
And pace. Okay.
Yeah,
GPA,
yeah,
maximum time frame, and pace.
yeah.
Okay.
And then
So
that question in regards to the depth, that is an interesting question. Which what I can do is I can research that and get that to you.
okay, because that was a good question.
It
I didn't
was.
think about that. Yeah, because if the student dies, then and they're in college, the parent will want to talk to the school.
Yeah,
And if the purpose not on file, what do you do? So
yeah.
that is a good question.
Yeah, and what I can do is I can try to talk to one somebody in the dean's office, and far as what we do in our school, like I said,
Right.
a lot of stuff, different laws or policies with
Uh-huh.
FERPA, because it got the overall spectrum, but then there's
Uh-huh.
certain components which colleges have that only certain people can really have privilege to.
Okay. Thank you all for that. You said in your book, don't lie on the FAFSA. Let's talk about that.
Well, yes, don't lie. On the FAFSA is a government document. I say it like this: it's a government document. So if you said that you don't have a bachelor's degree, we
Mhm.
process your file, you get your money. There are a couple of things that we do to research that. And so we found out that you did went to college, you did have a bachelor's degree, you did X, Y, and Z. All we're gonna do is we're gonna take away your financial aid and we're gonna leave you with the balance.
Oh wow.
So yeah, I've seen a couple of times, and I've gave people the response that you owe $3,000. You lied and said, well, I don't want to say lied, but you falsified the FAFSA, and you owe $3,000. And then of course they look at me crazy and shaking their head like a bobblehead, and then I had to explain to them that you said you did this on the FAFSA. This is
Mm,
what you put on there.
right.
It's on black and white what's going on.
Right.
So and you owe money.
It's a government document. If you don't take anything else away from that, don't lie on the FAFSA. They
Yes,
will find out.
yes. And look, and we all know Uncle Sam don't play about his money.
Nope. 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 Okay, so what are ways that people can receive financial aid? Let's briefly talk about that.
Sure, it's you got your scholarship. And then let me say one of the things someone asked me, is my book going to discuss scholarships? I say no, because there's over millions of scholarships out
Mm-hmm.
there and different qualifications and so forth. My thing is I want to discuss some of the ways that you can help you through the college process.
Okay.
So that's one thing I talk about. Of course, you have your Pell grants. Of
Mm-hmm.
course, part of Title IV funding, which also includes your subsidized loan, which is the loan that the government would take care of the interest, and
Okay.
you have your unsubsidized loan, which you'll be responsible for the interest as well.
Okay.
Plus, you need to research your state because you don't know what awards that your state could be having. Like the
Okay.
state have, we have the Hope Scholarship.
Right.
Then
Mm-hmm.
you have the SAL loan. That's another loan as far as
Hmm.
with the state. So the other things that other states may have that you need to take advantage of.
Okay.
And then of course you have variety of different awards from various different departments. A lot of
Hmm.
colleges have different retention grants and different other ways that students can go ahead and pay for their money.
Right.
And there's some stuff that you know for childcare. You
Hmm.
might want to research on different things like that for colleges because every college is different because as far as finance and
Uh-huh.
resource. So you just need to kind of, like they always say, closed mouth don't get fed. So
Hmm.
you just need to kind of ask the financial aid office if there's any type of grants or any opportunities. And
Okay.
so a lot of colleges have scholarship departments. So
Right.
talk to your scholarship department to see what they have to offer. And some people don't think about this, but talk to your insurance agencies because a lot of them have scholarships.
Oh wow.
And then yeah, because I mentioned this one time before, and somebody told me that they got a scholarship from Geico.
Really?
Okay, yeah, real
I would
talk.
have never thought about that.
Yeah, your
That's
insurance.
good.
Yeah, then talk about your job. Like a lot of our jobs, you may be able to have some type of scholarships.
Right. Or
And
could or tuition reimbursement.
yes, that
Hmm.
opportunity there too as well.
Hmm.
That worst case scenario, you get your loan, you do well in class, you show your job, your grades, your um, job will pay for the school, and then you can just take that money because it's gonna be a reimbursement, and then
Right.
use that to pay your loans back. You can try
Right.
to help your credit out. You can try to
Hmm.
get yourself play the game and just recycle it.
Right.
Yeah.
There's a lot of money out there. It
Yeah,
really is. What I've learned is that you have to do the research. It's almost like having a part time job.
exactly,
You have to do the research to look for that money. And some of these scholarships, what I've learned is some of the scholarships is they're ongoing. As long as you keep that GPA, you can keep reapplying as long as you're in school to
exactly,
continually get that scholarship every year. So
exactly.
I read up, because of Damari, she had told me about a couple of those that she had ran into,
Hmm.
and found out that yeah, as long as I keep a certain GPA, I can keep reapplying for this scholarship. So you can get this money the whole time that you're in school.
Yes,
You mentioned Title IV federal funding.
yes.
Let's talk a little bit about that.
Sure. Title IV funding is money from the federal government that gives to colleges and universities. Title IV funding, of course, that's how I get my pay on that part. But then also to, of course, from your Pell grants, your loans, you have like work studies, you have like SEOG grants. So that's the money
Hmm.
that the federal government gives to the school, which
Hmm.
gives the federal government rights. I guess you could say rights for state schools to kind
Okay.
of regulate a few things here and there. There's
Hmm.
certain things that schools must do to maintain the Title IV funding, like
Okay.
for example, Flag Day. We got to make sure we have flags here to salute the United States of America. So we got to make
Okay.
sure the school does that, display it. Oh, excuse me, it's Constitution Day. So they
Uh-huh.
just things we have to do that just to maintain and keep Title IV funding.
Okay. Okay. Um, there was another one I had. It was another. Oh, understanding your EFC. Let's talk about that.
Okay, ELC,
Hmm.
estimated family contribution. In a nutshell, it's the information that parents and students, when they complete the FAFSA, and then of course when the system, the data comes, it let us know as far as how much eligibility that you have in either your Pell Grant, or if you make a high number, you may not be eligible for Pell Grant, but
Hmm.
you might be only eligible just for loans. And for
Okay.
certain cases, you're only eligible for an unsubsidized loan, not the sub loan.
Okay. Okay. So it's all determined according to your EFC.
Yes. So
Like
just pretty much, yeah, just the calculations and stuff
the
in the
calculation.
system.
Okay.
Yes, yeah. And unfortunately, I talked to, like, single people who's, let's say 25 years old, um, an independent student, and they only making, let's say, $30,000 a year, but no
Hmm.
kids dependents. And a lot of times they won't be eligible for financial aid just based off of their salaries. And in the
Right.
system, like, you can do loans, and we know that's not maybe, real money, but of course we have that. And a lot of times dependent students are upset because they don't have the Pell Grant, because the
Hmm.
parents are the one that makes the money. They
Right.
don't make no money, but of course, since they connected, they'll be affected. And only
Hmm.
that they're able to get is loans.
Right. Right. Brittany asked a question. She asked, in your personal opinion, do you think student loans will be erased?
Truly, no, and not necessarily just because of the government or owing money. Look at it like this: student loan money is maybe the quickest and easy access for someone to receive money.
Hmm.
Meaning that if I want a loan, if I go to the bank, I gotta do so much credit check, so much this, that, whatever. If I'm a college student, long as I'm a college student, if I take a minimum of 6 credit hours, which is half time, long as I complete an interest counseling and do a
Hmm.
master promissory note, and I can find maybe 2 or 3 people that I can have as a referral, then I can get that money. It's easy and quick. So for the most part, most people, um they say they don't want no loans, but that's an easy way to get money.
Hmm.
Unfortunately, they don't do the money for college. A lot of it do for their own personal. From getting my hair done, I need my car fixed. I need a car. Somebody died, they gotta pay for a funeral. I
Hmm.
need new shoes. I mean, very different reasons I've heard why they need to take a loan. And at times I would say, like, you really don't need a loan. Everything is taken care of. And I've been told many times that this is my money and I do what I want to do with it. And I'm like, okay, well,
Wow.
that is true. You got to pay it back.
Wow.
So, yeah, I don't think it will be a race because too many people want it and need it.
Right.
So I can't see it ever being a race.
Right, right. And I'm sure that the interest that is made off of, I mean, these companies and the government makes money off the interest,
It's a
right?
business.
Yeah, college is a business. It's a big business. It's a big
Yeah.
business. There was a section in the book about being at the top of the mountain. Let's talk about that briefly.
Being on top of the mountain, once you get your financial aid and everything taken care of, you feel like woosah.
Hmm.
I know myself, and I believe you've done too, Tina, went up Stone Mountain.
Yeah.
And it's hard.
Hmm.
And I was giving out a
Yeah.
breath. And that's
Hmm.
kind of like financial aid. And college life, you go through all these obstacles, these steps. Sometimes you want to fall, sometimes you want to give up. But at the end, once you get on top of the mountain and you look down to see where you came from, and now you on top, then it's like, wow, you feel like you master it. That you feel more encouraged. You,
Hmm.
despite you want to give up, you did it, and you reached your goal, and you reached the mountaintop, the top of
Well,
the mountain.
Trey, this book is a good guide and tool for people to use. How can people purchase the book?
Sure, you can always go on to Amazon as far as purchasing the book. You can always check my website, www.traejohnson.com. You can always check that out. And those, and working on a couple other ways that people can get the book, but the main ways, check my website or go on to Amazon.
Mm-hmm.
And if anyone is having any type of event or
Mm-hmm.
educational event and they have like a youth auxiliary group or church group, and if you're interested for someone to kind of speak about college life and financial aid, please contact me, and we'd love to talk with them and give parents an opportunity to purchase the book and get it autographed by me.
Okay, and his information is streaming at the bottom of the bottom of the screen. And so you're open to doing. I know at the beginning of the show you were talking about start back doing book tours. So you're available to do public speaking, to do workshops, any program that you have, church, auxiliary, um, anything to talk about to talk to students about this topic. I think it's very important. I know when we were trying to deal with the financial aid for my daughter, it was overwhelming, right? I mean, I'm just gonna be honest, it was because, like you said, I knew what to do then, but some of that stuff has changed now, and I paid big bucks to get somebody to hold our hand to get us there, right? And that was just basically through the first year. And then once we learned what to do, they're still around if we need them, but we don't need them because now we know, right? And I could have saved that money.
You could call me like, Tina,
if I would have just called, if I would have just called you before the book.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
So, hey, we got these resources. That's the main reason why I decided to do the broadcast, right? Is a way to inspire and encourage people by sharing the knowledge, right? The guests on our show tell who they are, what they do, and they give the inside perspective of what they know. And, my goal is always to have this platform to be a resource for people, right? And we've had guests to talk about some of everything, right? And you can go back and you can replay these videos on YouTube or on Facebook. Everybody's been telling me it's easier on YouTube to be able to really share. So I'm going to encourage everybody again to go to our YouTube page, subscribe to our channel. Please, please, please hit that bell button so you can be notified of the upcoming shows that we're going to have. Trae, thank you so much. Now I'm going to tell everybody, we talked only a little bit about this book because we couldn't give all the information away. So we're going to encourage you to buy the book. You can go to his website, traejohnson.com, or you can get it on Amazon. His information was at the bottom of the screen. He would love to talk to you and continue to guide you on your financial journey. Trae, thank you so much for saying yes to allowing me to interview you. It's been a treat as always. Thank you, thank you, thank you.
Thank you, Tina. It's a blessing. I appreciate you. Appreciate your audience. Thank you so much. Again, go ahead, check out the book. There's a lot of information.
It is. It's jam packed. We can only in an hour we can only touch on nuggets, but it really is. It's jam packed. And again, I'm just going to remind women that there's a chapter in the book for you. So make sure that you reach out to Trae after you read that chapter and tell him thank you for the reminder, right, of not letting others discourage us for continuing our college journey. I am Tina Dawson, the owner of True Blue Designs, and I just want to say thank you so much for tuning in tonight. We will see you next Wednesday, same time, same place. Good night, everybody. You stay on, Trae. Good night.